Okay, we're on topic 2.4 called More Prisms. And example 1 says name the prism below and then find its lateral area, total area, and volume. And if you notice, this one's kind of shaded on the bottom to so that we'll all get the same answer. We're going to use this shaded area for the base. And remember, there's two bases, and on rectangular prisms it really does not matter as long as the bases are opposite each other. The only difference is your lateral area would be different if you used a different opposite face, but let's use the bottom one for our base. So to find the lateral area, you have to do the perimeter of your base times your height. So let's figure out the perimeter. Remember, perimeter is 2 lengths plus 2 widths of your base. So you have 2 6s and you have 2 4s. So if you do 2 6s and 2 4s, your lateral area is going to be 20. And I keep using centimeters. Let's just do that on all these. Anytime there's no unit drawn, let's just give it one. I'm going to give it centimeters. So this one, oh, we forgot to name it. This is a rectangular prism. Because the bases are rectangles. And our perimeter is 20. And the height from base to base is 2. So 40 square centimeters would be your lateral area. To do the total area, you always do your lateral and you add 2 bases to that. So we're going to use our 40 that we just figured out, and we're going to add 2 base areas. Now our base area on this one would be just length times width, which is 6 times 4. So this is 24. So there's always 2 bases, so you're going to do 40 plus 2 times 24. Let me make sure I do that right. 40 plus 2 times 24 is going to give me 88. So that would be our total area. The volume is always your base area times your height. We already did the base area, that's 24. And our height is 2. Just remember, your height is always from base to base. So 24 times 2 is 48. So it's 48 cubic units. Just remember, volume is a cubic unit. Let me kind of sketch a little cube in here to show you that. If you were going to put a cube inside here, that means you could put 48 of them inside there if they were all cubic centimeters. Okay, the next one, when you first look at this one, hopefully you'll notice that the 2 bases are triangles. So this is a triangular prism. And for your markings here, your tick marks are telling you that it's a equilateral triangle. And you know what? I think we're going to need to talk about an equilateral triangle for a minute. So I'm going to draw one over here in the corner. And let's review for a second. In an equilateral triangle, when you draw the altitude, you create a 30, 60, 90 triangle on each side. So I think I'll just draw it on this side right here. They're giving us each length is 4. Half of that length to give us the edge across from the 30-degree angle. Multiplying that times the square root of 3 gives you the edge across, or the line of the altitude across from the 60-degree angle. Now the reason I did that is because we're going to need that number. That's going to be our height right here. And I think I'm going to let you go ahead and write that as a decimal. So let me type that in, see what that is. 2 times the square root of 3 is approximately 3.46, so we'll use 3.5. So I'm going to go ahead and label the height over here. It's about 3.5. So we're going to need that. That's the height of our triangle. This one's the height of the prism. Make sure you don't mix those up when you start using the formulas. Let's write our formula. For lateral area, it's perimeter times height. Now this perimeter means the perimeter of the triangle. Well, because they're tick marked, they're all 4s. So that's 4 times 3, so that's 12. So you're going to use 12 times, now this is an interesting one because your height here is 12. So it's 12 times 12, which is 144. That's your lateral area. Let's use centimeters again. Okay. When you do the total area, you want to do the lateral area plus 2 base areas. So your lateral area was 144. You're going to add the 2 areas of the base. We need to do that to find the area of the base. Triangles are always 1/2 base times height. I'm going to use a lowercase b because it means the base of the triangle. And on this case, the base of your triangle is 4 and the height of your triangle is 3.5. So let's do that. 1/2 times 4 times 3.5. Half of 4 is 2. 2 times 3.5 is 7. So that's going to be the area of your base. And there's 2 of those. So 2 times 7 is why I put a 7. Well, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's why I put a 7 there. So that'd be 144 plus 14. That's 158. And remember, this is kind of an approximate because we figured out that height right here, and we use 3.5, which is really 2 times the square root of 3. But let's go ahead and just use the decimal form of that. So that's your total area, 158 square centimeters. Alright, the volume, we keep using the same formula because it's a prism, is the base area times the height. Our base area, now remember the base area here we're just using one of them. Up here we used 2 because we were figuring out the sum. This one's volume, so you're going to just use the base area, which was 7, times the height, which is 12. This h means the height of the prism. So 7 times 12 is 84. And it's a cubic centimeter because it's volume. Alright, let's see. Example number 3. There's one more page of notes. We're going to finish this up. This time they're giving us the volume and asking for the height, lateral area, and total area. So we're going to have to work backwards in our formula. Let's start with the things we know. We know we're going to have to figure out perimeter and base area, so let's do that. Your perimeter of your base is when you do 2 lengths and 2 widths. So we have 2 times 2 plus 2 times 3. So our perimeter is 4 plus 6, which is 10. Our base area is our length times our width. So that's just 2 times 3, so that's just 6. So to figure out this one, when we know the volume, let's start with volume since that's what they gave us. The base area times the height. Our volume is 24 cubic centimeters. Our base area is 6, and we need to figure out our height. So do you see how I'm using the formula to find one of the missing values, and that would be the height. So to solve this one, you'd have to divide by 6 to solve for h. So your height has to be 4 centimeters. Now that's kind of, I'm going to go ahead and label our picture. That's 4 centimeters high. So to do our lateral area, it's our perimeter times our height, so it's going to be 10 times 4. So our lateral area is 40. Now area is a square unit. Height is just a unit of measurement, so it's just centimeters. But our area will be square centimeters. Our total area is going to be our lateral area plus 2 bases. So our lateral area was 40, and we're adding 2 base areas. And remember our base area up here was 6, and there's 2 of those. So that's 2 times 6 is 12. 12 plus 40 is 52. So sometimes you're given a unit like volume and you'll have to decide what the height is. Let's move on to example number 4. Let's read this one. The base of a triangular prism is an isosceles right triangle with legs 3. The height of the prism is 10. Find the lateral area, total area, and volume. Alright, if they're telling you this right here kind of explains the kind of triangle that you have. It's an isosceles triangle and it's a right triangle. I'll show you how we can draw one if you want to see what that might look like. Maybe I can fit it right here. Isosceles right triangle, think of taking a square and cutting it in half. Alright, I'm going to make a prism out of this by drawing I should have dotted those lines. Oh well. When you draw an isosceles right triangle, I'm going to go ahead and tick mark these. This word leg means that these are 3's. The two sides are the legs. Now this right here, the hypotenuse, we will have to use the Pythagorean theorem. You know, we could use a special right triangle. If this is a 45, 90 degree triangle, then the legs are always the same and the hypotenuse is always whatever that leg is times the square root of 2. So this side, this hypotenuse would be 3 times the square root of 2. I think I'll also, let's figure out that decimal form. That's about 4.2. So let's label it up here. This is about 4.2 centimeters. The reason we need that is because for the lateral area, remember, it's perimeter times the height. Now the perimeter on this one, you're going to take and you're going to add the 2 3's of the legs with the hypotenuse 4.2. So that's going to be 10.2, yeah. So 10.2 is going to be the perimeter of the triangle. And then when you multiply your 10.2 times your height, now be careful on this one. The height, they wrote it right here, the height of your prism's 10. I'm going to go ahead and label it. This height, this lateral edge right here is 10 centimeters. And that is how tall it is, even though I've got my prism kind of drawn sideways. It's from base to base is always your height. So 10 times 10.2 is 102. So your lateral area is 102 square centimeters. Your total area will always be your lateral area plus 2 base areas. So the lateral area is 102. We're going to add 2 base areas. Now the base area, let's write that up here. The base area is a triangle, so it's 1/2 base times height. So it's a half 3 times 3. 3 times 3, that's 9. Half of 9 is 4.5. So you're going to use 4.5 as your base area. So you're going to take 2 4.5. So that's 102 plus 2 times 4.5. 4.5 times 2 is 9. 9 plus 102 is 111. So it's 111 square centimeters. These are kind of approximates because remember we did the square root of 2 and we turned it into 4.2. So these aren't exact answers, but they're close. Okay, the volume is the area of your base times your height, and over here we got our base area is 4.5, so it's 4.5 times the height 10. And anytime you multiply by 10, it really just moves the decimal over, so 45 is your volume. And it is a cubic unit, so it's cubic centimeters. Okay, let's move on to, alright, this one's going to be a little bit trickier to draw, but the word regular means that it's a regular hexagon. Hexagon is 6 sides. I'm going to use my template to draw a regular hexagon. I'm going to actually use it twice. And you can try this too if you want to borrow a template to draw. This might help in your notes to have a picture of this. When you connect the vertices of the two hexagons, if I dash this one, maybe it'll look three-dimensional. Okay, there you go. There's your hexagonal prism. Each side length is 10. I'm going to go ahead and just label one of my edges. Okay, this time they're in inches. And the height is 13. So all those lines that I drew to connect the vertex points, those are going to be the height. So they're all 13 inches. Alright, we will, to get the total area, we're going to have to do the perimeter. Let's write that over here. The perimeter, since there's 6 sides in a hexagon and they're all 10, that's just going to be 6 times 10. That's 60. That's 60 inches. The base area of this one is going to be another regular polygon, so it's 1/2 perimeter times the apothem. Okay, let's talk about the apothem if it's been a while since you've done that. This is the apothem. I'm drawing it from the center to the midpoint of the side. Now the midpoint of the side at a perpendicular makes this piece right here a 5. And then this, it's called the radius. We don't really need that one, but that would be 10 if we labeled it. We don't need that. The reason I'm looking for this, I'm going to call this a little a. This is my apothem. And my apothem is going to be 5 times the square root of 3, because this is a special right triangle. This is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And the long leg across from the 60-degree angle is always whatever the short leg is times the square root of 3. Come see me if you need to review or refresh your memory on special right triangles, but that is important because you're going to need that when you're working out the area of this base. So you're going to take 1/2 times the perimeter 60, and for my apothem I'm going to use the decimal form, so 5 times the square root of 3 is approximately 8.7. So we're going to use 8.7. So it's 1/2 times 60 times 8.7. That's about 261. Okay, let's do the lateral area. The lateral area is the perimeter times the height. Now the perimeter we just did is 60. The height, the h always means the height of the prism, so that's 60 times 13. That would be 780 square inches. To do your total area, you're going to take your lateral area and add 2 base areas. Your lateral was 780. You're going to add 2 base areas, so 2 times, remember 261 was one of the base areas, so we're going to have to do 2 of those. So 780 plus 2 times 261. Ooh, it's a big number. 1,302. And don't forget, it's cubic inches when you put that in. Okay, good luck.